pull it up. You are now live.
Great, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us while we all gathered. Welcome to the July 8th, 2021 meeting of the East Lansing Historic District Commission. Mr. Kaysen, will you please call roll?
Yes. Calling the roll, Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Souza. I think you're muted.
I only do this all day. Yeah, here.
And if everyone would please state where you're dialing in from.
And
Lindsay.
I'm here from 621 Sunset in East Lansing.
And Lindsay,
Here from East Lansing.
thank you.
Commissioner Fox Brown.
I'm here I'm in Florida. I'm coming back Sunday.
All right. Commissioner Sampson. Commissioner Sampson is absent. All right. Chairwoman Wing.
Calling from East Lansing, Michigan.
Vice Chair Flores.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Calling in from Elk Rapids, Michigan.
All right. Point of order, as a question to the chairwoman, if everyone is on the call, but does everyone need to be in East Lansing in order to consider this quorum?
No, they do not. We simply have to identify where we're calling in from.
Okay, thank you. All right, that being said, we have 5 commissioners present, so we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Item 1.2 is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
I second Commissioner Sousa's motion.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Souza, seconded by Vice Chair Flores. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
Opposed? That carries. Item 1.3 is approval of the minutes.
Move approval.
I second approval.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Souza, seconded by Vice Chair Flores. Are there any comments or changes to the minutes? Okay, I would like to make one addition to the minutes, if I may. At the end of the public meeting for 1017, I believe, or 1103 West Grand River, we stated that the applicant was going to reach out and meet with the chair, myself, to talk more about the types of window maintenance that could be done. And I would just like that noted within the meeting minutes. Because otherwise that particular agenda item just sort of stops with the denial of the application, and there was more to it than that. Do you have a recollection of that, or do you have the notes on that, Mr. Kaysen?
Yes, Chairwoman, we will make that adjustment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all those in favor with the addition that was just discussed, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Section 2, communication from citizens. Do we have any written communications today?
None
Okay.
that we've received.
Item 2.2 is oral communications. Ms. Urdiales, would you please open up the line to see if there's anybody who has dialed in who would like to just generally comment on items that are not already on the agenda?
Yes, we have 4 attendees, and the first person to speak has the last 3 digits of their phone as 627. I am unmuting you and allowing you to speak.
And this is for those of you that are on the phone line, this is if you have anything to state that's outside of the agenda or the public hearings. If you're here for a public hearing, you can simply state that you're here for a public hearing and wait to talk at that time, or you can talk now as well. So the person, the caller ending in 627, the last three digits is 627.
I think they are muted. I don't know if that's on their end or ours.
It's on their end.
Okay.
Caller ending with 627.
I'm sorry, I'm just here for the public hearing.
Thank you.
The next attendee is Kinnersley. Oh, we got two of them now. Alan Kinnersley, I'm going to unmute you and allow you to speak.
Sorry, we had so much trouble getting in, joining, but we're here now, so.
And are you here for the, I assume that you're here for the public hearing for item 4.2 for the garage and the gutters?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the next attendee in the queue is Liz Harrow. I'm going to allow you to speak.
I'm here for a hearing.
All right, thank you. And we have another Kinnersley. I'm not sure if they're together or on separate phones, but I'm going to allow you to speak.
Did Ms. Kinnersley like to, would you like to speak, or is this solely for the public hearing, item 4.2? Okay, I will assume that both Mr. and Ms. Kinnersley would like to speak during the public hearing.
All right, and the last person in the queue is Ron May. I have unmuted you and allowed you to speak.
Yes, I'm here for item number 4.1 in the public hearing.
Thank you. That completes our queue.
Great, thank you. Okay, item number 3 is council liaison reports.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Chairwoman, perfect timing. Point of order. Yes. Ms. Watson communicated via email today that she will not be attending the meeting.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to our public hearings. Public hearing 4.1 is consideration of a certificate of appropriateness from Gregory Spiridakos for the property at 123 Beech Street to replace the front steps. Mr. Kaysen.
Okay. All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Just give me one moment. Apologies, just need to get this queued up. Thought I had it queued up, but apparently not. All right, can everyone see my screen? Yes? Okay, thank you. So you've all read the report. I will not delve too much into the details, but the property is a Tudor style property. It is located on Beech Street at the intersection of Beech Street and Park Lane. The application is for the front steps that were removed without a permit. And this is the proposal for the replacement. Just about the property in brief, one interesting aspect of the property, it's a Tudor style home, is this hipped roof parlor. If you can see down here in the front with the original casement windows, which unfortunately are no longer there, though no fault due to the applicant to my knowledge, there was a planter that was installed, and if you scroll down and you can see the detail on the bottom here, you can see that these sort of timbers are still there, but obviously don't serve a purpose. Just an interesting point of fact about some of the original features of the property. As per the application, which gives the history, essentially there was work being done on the property. The staircase was removed as a result. And these are the photos. These are photos that I took in June to showing the result. This actually, I believe, is after Mr. May had gone, and Mr. May was not the one to remove the steps. I want to make that sort of point of fact. He was brought in after the fact to come up with a replacement. This was actually after the some of the remedial work that was done. The steps that were removed were original, and I will scroll down here so I can show those. This is the last existing photo we have of the steps from August 2019. This is from a Google capture. For everything that I've seen and research I've done, conversations I've had both with Mr. Spiridakos and Mr. May, it looks like these were brick steps that were later covered in concrete, essentially as kind of a makeshift repair. The proposal for replacement that we have now is for the certificate of appropriateness, is to do a prefabricated step that would be faced with brick on the side. But I will allow the applicant to speak to that more in depth.
Okay, thank you very much. I know that Mr. May is on the phone to speak. I'm not sure, well, it doesn't look like Mr. Spiridakos is on the line. So if we could open up the line for Mr. May, please.
Good evening. Mr. Spiridakos does not have Wi-Fi capability to attend the meeting. So I'm here for him. I applied, worked with Raphael on trying to resolve this situation. Mr. Spiridakos he started without a permit to rebuild these steps and unknowingly ran into problems with the city. And so what I've tried to help him do is right this situation. I'm a licensed builder and I have a few projects going in East Lansing. And so I'm able to work with the city well, and hopefully that what we presented will be something that can be approved and Mr. Spiridakos can move forward. He'd like to either use a precast concrete step with some brick veneer on each side. It could be attached through either a mechanical fastening with a mortar, or it could be an actual brick wall. We have a couple of different options, and he would be pulling a permit correctly upon approval of his application.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners for Mr. May?
This is Commissioner Gray. I had a few questions. So I was looking at the photograph you provided of a model precast concrete stair. I'm assuming that this would just be a part of what you're proposing installing. In the photograph of the original stairs, I see brick facing on the risers of the stair. I'm wondering if you are proposing that. Also, I'm seeing on these photographs that, and I was also looking at one of the hand drawings you provided, that there's a rounded nose on the top step but I'm not seeing that on the treads and the photographs you provided of the sample precast concrete stair. So I was hoping that you could speak to that, those details.
Certainly. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mr. Spiridakos found these precast concrete porch and steps combination. He found some setting down on South Cedar. He took the pictures and provided them to everybody. And that was one of his solutions to do this. He actually saw, and I do not know the location of this home in East Lansing, but he said he saw a couple of homes in East Lansing that had these precast steps. So the red brick that Raphael just pulled up, that is some of the red brick that is on the side of the existing home at 123 Beech Street. And so we can buy thin veneer brick that looks very, very similar to that. And we could mechanically fasten that to the side of this precast step. Now that is one possibility. I also have a picture there that I found on Mack Avenue, just above the brick. That is what I believe the original porch looked like, is right there. And Mr. Spiridakos is not opposed to doing either method, whichever you guys will approve.
So I'll just speak to my opinion on what I would like to see. This is Commissioner Gray again. I find this this example that you provided from Mack Avenue to be generally in alignment with what I would like to see, which would be the sidewalls wrapped in brick with the risers faced in brick. And then I would be fine. Obviously, the preference would be stone for the treads and the caps of the sidewalls. But I understand that that could be cost exorbitant. So concrete would also be fine with me. Two things that I like about this Mack Avenue example are the slight overhang of the wall caps of the sidewalls. And then also the overhang of the treads. What I would like to see though is a rounded nose on the edges of the treads. Also speaking to the brick, I think that it would be absolutely important to match the brick color to the absolute extent possible to the chimney and to the base of the house. And that's something I feel like there needs to be samples provided and approved by this commission, because there's a lot of variation and it's really easy to not do due diligence in matching brick. So that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray. Are there any other questions from the rest of the commission? Okay, seeing that, thank you very much, Mr. May. If we have additional questions, we'll get back with you, so please stay on the line. Would like to open up the public hearing portion for any member of the audience who may have comments regarding this application. Again, very much like the public comments at the beginning, if you do not have any comments on this particular application, when Ms. Erdali's calls upon you, you can simply say pass. So if you could open up the line, please.
It's this for the remaining attendees?
Correct.
Okay, very good. The first person in our queue is Liz Harrow, and I will allow you to speak.
What if you did it the other way? What if instead you had us raise our hand with the Zoom control or something if we wanted to speak? I don't want to speak, but I find this sort of cumbersome.
I agree with you. Unfortunately, though, not everybody can dial in and use the Zoom application directly. Some people are simply on their phones.
I see. Okay, thanks.
All right, the next caller in the queue has the last three digits of their phone number of 627. I am unmuting and allowing them to speak.
Pass.
Thank you. The next caller in the queue is Alan Kinnersley. I have unmuted you and allowed you to speak.
And again, if you don't have any comments on this particular application, please just say pass.
Okay, sorry. We pass.
Thank you.
And the last caller is Kinnersley. I don't know if this is Mrs. Kinnersley.
I think it's me, Cheng-Yuh Kinnersley. I pass.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That completes all of the attendees in the queue.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll close the public hearing portion of this and bring it back to the commission for any additional discussion.
This is Aaron. I think that either of the solutions that put the right color and shape of brick on are fine. I tend to think that the full brick would look better. As I look at the 1957 picture, you can see just a wee bit. I mean, it's a single brick wide with a cap of some sort. And I don't know what that is, but I think that original version, if you blow up the blow that up, you can sort of see what it looked like. But I think the right color brick, and I'd be more than happy to let the staff verify that it's the right brick. I don't know that it has to come back to us. And then some sort of cap that looks reasonable is enough for me.
So, Commissioner Souza, just if I may, yeah, I mean, we were not able to determine if the original steps were 100% brick, or if, obviously this looks like certainly the wall was brick, or if it was concrete, poured concrete faced with brick. As far as the staff recommendation regarding the current application as it is, we also took into account the current use of the property as a rental. And we're taking into account sort of the practicality of for lack of a better word, hard use. So that also did play into staff's recommendation vis-a-vis the current application.
Then I mean, I completely understand why it needs to be capped in something that's robust. It's also why maybe full brick rather than veneer might work better.
I was just going to add that if you kind of hone in on some of the older, I'm looking closer at the packet of materials, and I honed in on the wall. This is Commissioner Flores, and you can see that it looks like that brick wall is a width thick of brick, and maybe perhaps if they can't, they could maybe get a similar brick in size and color, texture, that's representative of the chimney. But then on the top, if that had to be concrete, maybe they could match it in a similar color. I don't know, just kind of saying if it was previously some kind of stone that had a mortar color, or not a mortar color, but I don't know, like a yan tinted or something like that color of stone, perhaps they could do that as well.
Okay, it would be helpful at this point to have a motion so that we could, if any of the commissioners are so moved to make a motion so that we could discuss on the merits and vote on it. Anyone? Either an approval or a denial.
This is Commissioner Gray. I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness application for this property, 123 Beech Street, contingent upon certain specifications that this commission decides upon in our discussion.
Is there a second for the motion?
Second for the motion, Commissioner Fox Brown.
Okay, so let's discuss. What would we think that these conditions would be?
I'm generally fine with using the precast concrete as the foundation for the stairs. I feel very strongly that the risers need to be faced in what looks like, if I'm looking at the photograph of the original stair, vertically oriented red bricks matching the chimney and base of the house. I also think that the side walls should be faced in brick. It looks like, based on the 1957 photographs, that the wall thickness is one course or one horizontally oriented brick length. The capping, I agree with Commissioner Flores that if the treads and of the stairs and the cap of the sidewalls should be exposed precast concrete, that they should be tinted a color to match either the brick or the accent color of the house, which is kind of an off-white.
Point of order, I mean, like paint color is not usually our thing.
Paint color is not, but when we talk about concrete and brick, then we're getting into a different area, since it's not actually paint. I would agree with Commissioner Gray. I think that is a, I think her detail on this particular motion is, it's acceptable to me at least. I would vote yes for that.
Just a point of order, Chairwoman Wing. So is the motion at this point to require as a condition that the wall be identical shape and width as what was in the 1957 photo?
I'll let Commissioner Gray speak to that.
I would like to see the brick facing. So yes, I would like to see the wall thickness match the original stair on the house as shown in the 1957 photograph, which shows the wall thickness to be one brick length.
So if I may, and I realize I do not have a vote as staff, just to, sort of reiterate in terms of staff's recommendation, part of the thinking was one of safety. And given the current use of the house as a residential, as a rental that mostly rents to students, there is a concern regarding, how do I say this, a stair that is too thin to be seen, perhaps at night, that someone could trip over. So part of the reason why staff is recommending approval as presented by the applicant is in part for that reason. Obviously, it is up to the commission to decide that, but I just want to point of clarification as to why staff recommended approval based on the materials provided by the applicant.
And I presume that if you have just a one brick width piece, it's relatively easy for people to knock over with a stray baseball bat.
So
wider
Mr.
cover.
May seems to be proposing a 9-inch thick wall. That's acceptable to me.
Nine-inch thick that is faced in brick, correct?
Yes, or I don't know. So this is where, it depends on the level of detail you're going to, is that, so I'm seeing in the next drawing that there's a cap on the wall, and that there is a nose shown in the elevation, a rounded nose to that concrete cap. There's not a dimension on that nose that I can see. I see that it's 4 inches thick. So I'm assuming that it's a 2-inch radius nose. So if that extends all the way around the outside perimeter of the wall, then I'll have to let Mr. May speak to if that 9-inch dimension is accounting for that nose on the cap, or if that's the actual thickness of the wall below.
Could we open the line back up for Mr. May, please? Mr. May, are you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay, so to help answer a few of these questions, I did propose a 9-inch wall on each side. And in my drawing, the one that you're looking at right now, in my opinion, it could be either the precast concrete porch and 2 steps, or it could be a site-built concrete porch with 2 steps. But the 9-inch brick walls on each side would be one brick wide. And when you stack the layers and you alternate the stacks, the way you lay them up, the courses, it'll be very strong. It will not come apart very easy. So now to answer the top about the concrete cap, I was looking at ease and convenience of materials. So the concrete cap is something that we can buy and actually fasten right to the top of the brick. And we would not have a choice in the color. It would still come a concrete color, but that's something that we can buy locally. And I went to Young Brothers in Daly and I was checking with them. I actually went back there a couple of times in their backyard to take a look at some of the stuff that they have. And we're not going to be able to completely replicate 1930s, but we can get the style to resemble the 1930s. And when I showed them the colors of the brick up front, they gave me a couple of websites to go to. They didn't have any literature available, but that's a soft red clay brick. Chances are it's probably made locally and there's nobody around to make it anymore. It'd probably be very, very hard to find it. We might be able to find some salvage. I don't think that's a viable choice. So we're probably going to be looking at something that matches as close as possible. There was one question or one suggestion about doing a rounded nose. I can do a rounded nose on that cap, that cap on top. And that cap might be 4 inches, it might be 2 inches, depends on the products that are available to us. But doing a rounded nose on the steps and the porch cap, we wouldn't be able to do that. We can put an edge on it, and we can get a fairly large radius of an edger for the concrete nosing, but it wouldn't be rounded. It would be rounded on the top edge. Let me put it that way. The edger would round the top edge. It certainly would not be square. But that's probably what the best we could do with either method.
This is Commissioner Flores. Do you mind if I interject really quickly?
Sure.
Let's remember, we're following the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation. So we want to make this home habitable for the renters. So we consider rehabilitation. I don't want this to be looked at as a restoration. Yes, it would be great to get it as close to historically accurate as possible. Is it feasible? Maybe not. So we want to look at this closely as a rehab. Just adding that in.
Thank you, Commissioner Flores, or Vice Chair Flores, sorry.
Chairwoman Wing, also just to mention, doing the research for this report, one thing that staff discovered was that the practice in the 1920s when this home was built for bricklaying was to have recessed mortars in the joints. And while the look was very attractive, the problematic aspect of it is that allowed water to seep in between the bricks, which is why you come across so many looking like it did in 2019. So I just wanted to put that fact out there for the commission as part of the consideration, because that was something that staff discovered as part of their research.
Thank you.
I have one last comment.
That's fine.
Okay, Mr. Spiridakos, I spoke to him just the other day, and he is willing to accept whatever your conditions are. We're just looking for something that is easy enough for us to try to replicate and rebuild. He'd just like to move forward with this project.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Gray. Just as one point of fact I might add, I have recently had experience on a local project that was an addition on a historic building. And that historic building did have a similar red brick. And for this project, the architect was able to source a brick that, while wasn't identical, was a great match to it. And if you're in the area, I would strongly encourage you to go take a look at Cook Hall on MSU campus and look at the restoration if you're, or at the addition if you're curious about a new version of a turn of the century red local brick.
Okay, Commissioner Gray, do you have a resource that Mr. May?
I can get one. I don't have it on hand.
That would be helpful, I think. Thank you. Okay, are there any other comments from the commission? And Commissioner Gray, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your motion. Now we're sort of getting off onto the side where I'm not exactly sure how to handle this one. So that we can have the specificity of this discussion as part of the motion.
Okay, I will amend my motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for the porch addition at 123 Beech to add the following conditions. And acceptance of using the foundation of the stair as precast concrete with brick facing on the sidewalls and on the risers to be faced in brick to match the existing brick on the existing home.
Okay. Is there a second for the amended motion?
I second the motion.
Thank you.
This is Vice Chair Flores.
All right, we have an amended motion. We can discuss that as well. Any comments from the commission regarding the amended motion? All right, if we're ready to vote then, we have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Vice Chair Flores, to approve the application for 123 Beech Street for the porch using the precast concrete with both the front and the sides of the steps being faced with brick that matches the brick currently in use of the home's chimney. Did I state that correctly?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Kaysen, will you please do a roll call vote?
Yes. Vote on the motion. Please vote yes or no by voice vote. Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Commissioner Gray, yes. Commissioner Souza.
Yes.
Commissioner Souza, yes. Commissioner Fox Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown, yes. Chairwoman Wing.
Yes.
Chairwoman Wing, yes. Vice Chair Flores.
Yeah.
Vice Chair Flores, yes. The vote is 5 yeses, 0 nos. The motion carries.
Thank you very much. And so Mr. May, Mr. Kaysen will be in touch with you with the approval and any additional follow-up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before we move on to the next public hearing, I did notice that the screen door had been removed from 123 Beech Street. So Mr. Kaysen, if I could please have you work with either Mr. Spiridakos or Mr. May to determine what happened to that storm door. It will either have to be resurrected because according to city records, Mr. Spiridakos has owned this home since 2007. So any disappearance of the storm door from 2019 to today has been under his ownership. So if you could please check with him and determine that.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Chairwoman Wing, and I will follow up on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to, let me get back to my agenda again. Where did I put it? There it is, I think. Okay, item 4.2, consideration of a certificate of appropriateness from Alan and Cheng-Yuh Kinnersley for the property at 447 Kensington Road to replace the garage doors and install a gutter on the front of the garage. Mr. Kaysen.
Thank you, Chairwoman Wing. So we have here another Tudor style home, though of a different variety. This was built, I believe, yes, in 1927. The location is Kensington Road, north of Huntington Road and south of Wildwood Drive. One of the interesting features of this home is you have this sort of extended eave creating a sort of a salt box effect. But what I thought was particularly interesting was a sort of octagon-like dormer, which occupies the width of the eave, which is unusual. And I surmise that it could possibly be a reference to the octagon homes of the mid-19th century that were quite popular in Michigan, as it turns out. Michigan has the 3rd highest number of octagon homes in the country. Interesting point of fact. This application, however, has nothing to do with the octagon-like dormer and has everything to do with the garage. Specifically, and I apologize, this was the first picture that I took before Mr. and Mrs. Kinnersley generously allowed me onto their property to take additional photos. But here, but in this particular case, you can see that in fact the door at this point was missing. What ended up happening, and this is all in the report, is that the paver, once they had finished reflooring the garage, ended up removing the doors, and the doors did not fit. And at that point, at which point long story short, the doors were disposed of. And these were the original doors. I have an image of them This is an image of the original doors taken by the paving contractor. So we are lucky enough to have that. And these were the doors that the applicants originally ordered. There was a bit of an issue of timing here. Staff did not realize that the original doors had been discarded until after the fact, at which point the city then got involved, as far as the certificate of appropriateness. So ultimately, the applicants canceled the order for this door. This was an additional door that they were considering, though, and I will let them speak to this. My understanding is that they found this cost prohibitive. We'll get back to the gutter in a moment. And I also apologize. Today you received, and again, apologies for the confusion here. I'm going to actually close this out and reshare my screen. All right. All right, can everyone see the photos here? I see no's. I see no.
I can see it, but I think it needs to be a little bit bigger if you can make it bigger.
Yeah, I will see.
Probably, I was having a hard time making that larger myself.
It isn't the best screenshot, admittedly. Let me see if I can move.
That's better for me. Do the rest of commissioners see that better now?
I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in again. Can you see it now? I know it's still not the clearest.
Yeah, I mean, it's for being a very low res screen capture, it's acceptable.
And this other image, which shows the same door in white, the applicants provided today just to show, the pattern, the texture of the coffers. They are not interested in a white door. They do want the brown door. This is a metal door, kind of approximates the look of wood, but they provided this as well. The gutter, which I will get back to now, and I'm going to unshare the screen and reshare. Stop share. So the gutter they are proposing is not essentially is the exact same gutter that is currently on the property. Obviously, they are looking to do both the gutter on the front of the garage and the rear. Obviously, the rear does not fall into the purview of the commission as it is not visible from a right of way. However, and you can see the contract here. This is in an email from Mrs. Kinnersley. It will be the same gutter, and staff, is recommending approval of the gutter as presented. Staff does not have an opinion on the door itself and is leaving that strictly to the commission. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Urjalis, could you please let Mr. and Mrs. Kinnersley into the meeting, please?
All right, I am unmuting Alan Kinnersley so he can speak. And also I am unmuting Kinnersley so she may speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can both of you hear us or me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is your opportunity to tell us a little bit about the project, or give any additional information that you would like the commission to know about the project.
Okay, well, the reason for changing the garage doors, first of all, some background. We moved into the property 21 years ago, and we've never used the garage for parking. 26 years ago. We haven't used the garage for parking the cars because original doors were too cumbersome to open and close, and we were having the driveway reconcreted, and the contractors we wanted them to do the garage floor at the same time. And to do that, the problem with the garage floor was, and the reason you couldn't use it for parking a car, it had been broken up over the years because of the water thawing and freezing inside. And that was one of the reasons we were replacing the driveway, because the water flow right down the driveway flowed directly into the garage, where it froze and caused, and the house as well. It flowed, some flowed into the basement. So in order to get a new level concrete floor in the garage, they had to raise the level of the floor. And after that had been raised, the old doors would no longer fit anyway. And so the contractors wanted to remove the doors to enable them to do the work. And because the old doors wouldn't go back, we didn't see any use for them. So the contractors disposed of them. What do you want to add to that, Jenny?
Yeah, well, I did call the city, the historical district, so many times before we started the project. And I was told that nobody was in that position because the person before just left, and I guess Raphael was not there yet. So in the end, I did invite Diane, because she is a neighbor, to come to our house to look at the garage. Okay, it's a nice wood door, but it never worked. Because it's 2 doors, and the left-hand side, I think it's a lower, but it never, I think the mechanism was broken. And the right-hand side one, it's got 3 panels. So we could only open a small panel to go in. And the concrete that was so broken into so many labels, so it sank in. So in order to pour the new concrete, they had to raise the floor label. And then after that, the door didn't fit. So I did call Habitat for Humanity 2 times or 3 times, and they said they don't take old wood doors. And I Googled their website, and it's true. So that's why we try to save it, keep it in the garage. But then they were doing the concrete, so we got to move everything out. And then it was raining for so many days, so I thought it's going to get damaged anyway. And the concrete, the company said they got the dumpster or something they could dump it, so they took it away. And that's what happened.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicants?
I have a quick question. Did they retain the garage door? Did the Kinnersleys, did you keep the garage doors, the original? Do you have them?
No,
No.
because the contractors took it away, and we, by the time I think Raphael asked about them, and we called the contractors, and they were no longer around. They've been disposed of.
Okay, I was only going to say, if for future homeowners, that they would be able to maybe restore those or have those on hand for later use. You could always shave the bottom off, even though you elevated the concrete, to make them useful in the future. But okay, I just wanted to know.
I want to clear something before we throw it away. I did talk to a few garage door company, and they said that no, because the mechanism is not the same. And also they said it would cost us more to fix it, to repair it, than buying a new one. That's what they said. So that's why, and I did try to donate it, but nobody wanted it. I mean, I called the prices several times. So, and also I said I would have kept that if the garage, we could store it. But then the concrete company, first they came to dig out all the concrete in the garage floor. And then several weeks back, and then they came to replace it. So all our stuff was moved out in the yard, and it was raining. So that's why we decided, we should just give it.
And Commissioner, Vice Chair Flores, also just to add, to piggyback on what Mrs. Kinnersley is saying, I did follow up with the applicants to ask if they could follow up with the concrete company to see in case it maybe had gone to a salvage yard, and they responded and provided an email. Actually, we have a copy of it that says no, it's impossible to find. It's in fact in landfill. But we did in fact try to track down the doors.
Thanks, Raphael.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
And this is Chair Wing. If I could just, I don't know if I need to say this now or could say it after a motion, but either way. As Mrs. Kinnersley said, we are neighbors, and we had a very long conversation about the garage. And I was over there, I saw the garage, and the garage has multiple problems with it. And because of the way the concrete floor in the garage had sunk and the way the driveway didn't match up with it, the only way, in my estimation, that the original garage doors could have worked would be if the garage was lifted up and a new foundation was poured underneath the garage to make the combination of the driveway, the garage floor, and the garage doors to all end up being level. And as Mrs. Kinnersley and I said multiple times, that would be an extremely expensive proposition for a garage. So while it is dismaying that the original garage doors are no longer there, there were multiple challenges with this garage. It was not an easy answer. Mrs. Kinnersley and I talked around and around about this for, I think, about an hour. And Cheng-Yuh, please don't hesitate to chime in there. But ultimately, the garage would have had to have been lifted up and a new foundation poured in order to get everything level so those garage doors would still work. I will also say the garage doors were very unique. I think they probably could have been fixed had in fact there been the time as well as a local resource to fix them, because all of the hardware on the inside was still there. They were extremely unique the way they worked. I wasn't able to get any good pictures because there wasn't any lighting in the garage at the time. They were also extremely heavy. All of those panels, I think there was either a total of 6 or 5 panels. To store them would honestly have been quite an undertaking. They would have to reinforce the attic portion of the garage in order to put those old garage doors up there again. So there was a lot going on with this garage, quite frankly. It's a great garage and the doors were awesome, but I'm not surprised that we're at this point, quite frankly.
Thanks, Darren.
And also, Chairwoman Wing, if I may, just to point of order, there are staff is also in possession of 2 other applications from the Kinnersleys for, well, one is for a gate on the driveway, and one is for the repairs, the exterior repairs, the brickwork, the taft timbers, so on. That will all be handled administratively, but also just point of fact that they have applied for C of A's for both of those, which staff is currently processing.
That's great. I was going to say, and that's the other part of the garage, is that some of the brick facing has literally removed itself and is standing free from the framing of the garage, and that's a safety issue. I would not walk, as Mrs. Kinnersley and I talked about, I would not even walk near that side of the wall until that gets fixed. So there was a lot going on here, and that's just so you folks can hear my background perspective on it as well. That said, are there additional questions for the applicants?
This is Commissioner Gray. I have just a question or two. So I agree that it's dismaying that the original garage doors were disposed of, but at this point, that's where we are. So I think I'm willing to just move forward from this point. I'm of the opinion that we should at least encourage the owners to try to replicate the look of these doors as much as possible.
Could I interrupt you for a moment? Could I ask you to have those opinions once we have a motion in front of us?
Yes, but I was going to, that was a preface to the question.
Thank you.
that I was going to ask the owner.
No, go ahead. I apologize.
Okay, so I see that that you're proposing a steel door. I'm wondering if you looked at, so I assume that you found doing a wood door cost prohibited, but I'm wondering if you looked at a fiberglass garage door, which can, in my opinion, better replicate the look of a wood door than a steel door.
No, I didn't. I didn't look into it because the garage door company, they only use Emma garage door. So that's the only door I look at, called the AMARR, Emma garage door, I think. So I didn't look into that because first, we were not going to stay here too long, and we already spent so much money, and we got lots of other projects. We have been fixing, keeping the house, maintaining this house part. So we just, I don't know, I don't have the energy to deal with all this because I have lots of health issues. And you know, it's extremely difficult to find any contractor at all. And also we had a raccoon who was living inside the garage, which we didn't even know because he came in from the back of the garage. He drilled a big hole. So one day I was showing the garage company guy, and then the neighbor from the back door told us, do you know you got a raccoon coming in and out every day? And then I was so shocked. That's why I wanted to get this thing done as soon as possible so we can catch the raccoon, because I think he still lives there sometimes because now there is no doors and they just come in and out. So, I mean, I don't know. I just don't have the energy because I'm so stressed out and I just cannot function. Because I left my work in 1998, became disabled, and I have to look after all this. And my husband, he can't walk now because he got tendonitis for, I don't know, 7-8 months or so.
Yeah, I'd like to give a lot of credit to my wife because, you know, the man at the house traditionally looks after all of these matters, and she's far more capable than I am of dealing with the contractors, looking at the various options and making the final decisions on what would be best suited in to replace the old structures. And actually, no one had suggested a fiberglass door to us. I would definitely like to, have you looked into that?
I don't even know what a fiberglass
No,
door,
excuse
because
me.
I only look at the Emma garage door.
Can I just
So that means I have to look into something. But what I'm saying, this door I just chose, okay, it's a recessed panel, and because it's dark brown color, so it's from the distance, it looks just like a wood, really. And I walk around the neighborhood, I saw so many neighbors have the same kind, but there was either light color. I saw a couple of them have dark brown color as well. And they are right facing the street, and they were okay. So I don't know why we can't have that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not suggesting like I'm changing the door into something really modern. I'm not, because I like old style. So I try to keep it as old and as economical as I can. Okay, so that's the thing. I spend so much time looking for it, and that's the thing I could find. But I don't know how much the fiberglass thing will cost. Do you know how much it will cost to compare with steel?
Wood or steel?
No, steel, not wood.
I believe in general it's more than steel.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Did you say something, Vice Chair Flores?
I just want to look at the application at hand and what's being proposed in front of us. I appreciate what Commissioner Gray is suggesting, and I think that it is a good, but everything's case by case, and I don't want to design their garage door. I want to look at what's in front of us and either approve or deny and move forward. That's all.
This is on the picture. This is our garage. So I put the door into our garage, and unfortunately, you can't make it bigger or anything because I take a screenshot, and that's all you can see. So that's what's going to look like in our garage.
Okay. So thank you both, Mr. and Mrs. Kinnersley. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
I need to open the public hearing up for any additional comments for anybody who may have called in to speak to this particular application. So Ms. Urdalis, if you could please see if there are anybody else on the line who has called in for this particular public hearing.
The callers in the queue are Catherine Foley, Liz Harrow, and Ron May. And I think they're all for the other appeals.
Okay, so I will let either Ms. Harrow, Ms. Foley, or Mr. May raise their hand on Zoom if they would like to comment on this. So I'll give them a moment. Okay, not seeing any hands raised, so thank you for that. I will close the public hearing portion of the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
Move approval.
I have approval from Commissioner Souza.
I second.
Second for
Commissioner Flores.
by Vice Chair Flores.
Clarification requested. Is this approval for both the door and the gutter?
Yes, isn't that that's the proposal provided, right?
Yes, correct. Just want to make sure because we've been talking about the door for a while, so I just want to make sure we all remember the gutter too.
Yep.
Okay. Vice Chair Flores, you, excuse me, Vice Chair Flores, are you okay with that as well?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, discussion from the commissioners, please. If there is any discussion from the commissioners. So from my standpoint, I do approve of the gutters. The gutters obviously meet what the current gutters are on the home, and clearly they're needed. As far as the door is concerned, I don't have any concern with the door style or color itself. My concern is that there are no windows on the door. Vice Chair Flores, are you speaking to us?
I know I'm on mute just
okay.
because of my background. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah,
okay.
That is the only hiccup that I had thought of.
The original doors, as you can see in the photos that Mr. Kaysen provided or that the applicants provided, were very unique. They would not be able to be replicated even closely because I've spent a lot of time trying to find what would be, in my mind, a very close comparison, and the cost would be just astronomically prohibitive to try to replicate these doors. However, that said, I do believe windows need to be on these doors. What has been presented to us looks very blank and with no detail whatsoever on it. We've got to be able to bring some detail back into that in terms of what the original doors had. So while I would be willing to vote yes for the gutters, I would not be willing to vote yes for the doors as presented.
So what should we do with the door?
And if I could, Mr. and Mrs. Kinnersley, if I could, this is the commission's opportunity to discuss the application. So if you will let us have our discussions on it, and then we will bring you back in again. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other discussions from the commission, please?
I would be in agreement with Chairperson Wing that I am willing to approve of the gutters as presented. My concerns around the garage door are both materiality and the windows. So in the proposal in its current form, I cannot approve.
Are there any other comments? Okay, so we have a motion to approve both the gutters and the door as proposed by the applicants, from Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Flores. So I would go ahead and call the vote, please. Mr. Kaysen. Mr. Souza, do you have any comments on that?
I mean, I could revise it to just be the gutters, and then somebody could make a new motion for the doors.
Or you could amend your motion.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that we have agreement on that.
Okay.
So I would amend my motion to be the gutters only.
So clarification, the motion is for approval of the gutters.
Correct.
Gutter, okay. Chair Wing, should I start the roll call vote?
I think you need a new, the second needs to approve that too.
Need a second. Commissioner Flores, or Vice Chair Flores, do you say yes to that as well? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we have an amended motion from Commissioner Souza, seconded by Vice Chair Flores, to approve the gutters only as proposed. So is there any comment on the gutters then? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Kaysen, could you please call a roll call vote?
Sure. Motion is to approve the gutter as presented in the application for 447 Kensington Road. Please vote yes or no. Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Commissioner Gray, yes. Commissioner Souza.
Yes.
Commissioner Souza, yes. Commissioner Fox Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown, yes. Chair Wing.
Yes.
Chair Wing, yes. Vice Chair Flores.
Yes.
Vice Chair Flores, yes. Motion is 5 yeses, 0 no's. The motion carries.
Thank you. All right, so now we still have the garage door is outstanding. Do I hear a motion for the garage door?
What would be satisfactory for windows?
In looking at the Amar company, which is what the applicants had proposed, there is the availability within that particular manufacturer to have windows not in that door necessarily, but in another door. It's going to be extremely hard to replicate the windows that were on the original doors, those 2/2 windows that were relatively elongated. They were pretty vertical.
When we bought a new garage door, which is not visible from a right of way, I mean the door we bought, the top panels could have any number of things swapped in. There were a whole variety of different things you could do. They could be curved, they could be square with, I mean, I think that if we're gonna require windows, we're going to need to provide some sort of sense of what we're looking for in terms of a window.
I apologize, Chair Wang, if I may, just a point of clarification for the application. Within the application, I do believe there is an example of a lighted door that applicants did consider. Applicants have stated that that was cost prohibitive.
And I would say that the photograph of the door that was cost prohibitive was much closer to looking like the original doors than what is being proposed at this point. But that's just a general statement, right? And to Commissioner Souza's point, yeah, I mean, every garage door company provides a variety of options for windows, but for the most part, they all run horizontally across the top of the door. Very few of them have a lot of height or depth to them. Most of them just run very horizontally. It's the height issue that becomes the issue. I mean, I think that we could come up with an acceptable solution, or we could certainly work towards an acceptable solution. I'm not sure if we could do that right now at the meeting.
I would agree with that. I think that this one particular vendor has considerable limitations to their options when compared to other companies that, such as like Overhead Door, they have a little bit more flexibility in their style, in my opinion. But I mean, that would be a longer conversation.
Right. And I found an example on CHI doors, garage doors, that also does offer one option of windows that are taller. They're still not double tall, but they are taller than just what I consider just that little horizontal strip that goes across. They're taller than that. So I think that there are options out there, just needs a little bit of legwork, and potentially that's something that the commission could help the applicants with.
Are you suggesting then that they come back in front of the commission again and not be staff approval?
Oh, yeah, I'm not suggesting this be staff approval.
Okay.
Could we just say that the top row has to have square lights?
I believe the issue with that is we still have to find the door itself, because it's not something that you can just literally go online and find right away. It took me probably 45 minutes of clicking around to find the set of options that has the door panels that look acceptable, and then also has the ability to put the taller window on top of it as well. And then we get into the issue of cost, as well as the manufacturer, since the applicants are not working with a garage door contractor that offers any other manufacturer other than Amar. I have nothing against Amar, but they don't have as many options as either Clopay or CHI has.
Time is also an issue.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
And we're not going to recreate a door.
Nope.
I think that we're not going to get a historic door. So I think we just have to hold some sort of standard that they're going to do something that is similar in scale, size, and scope to what was there before, within reason. I don't know that we want to be in the business of specifically limiting to particular vendors because we think this door is I don't know, more options than another. I think that we need to get close, but I don't know that we should be spending time, well, homeowners' time, when we don't actually have a historical standard that we can reach.
Unless it's handmade, homemade, right? Unless it's going to be, we're not going to get near as close. So we should cite standard 6. If it has to be replaced, if we can't rehabilitate, then we replace as close to the original as possible in texture, materials, size, windows. And I agree, and I can visualize, Diane, in my mind is that it's going to be those horizontal lights. It might have some buttons within those, but I mean, unless they're going to, we need to walk a fine line of not creating something that's going to be an economic hardship on someone, but being as close to what is what they're proposing in this application, and not taking up your time or anyone else's to design. I could provide recommendations on crafts, people that will make those doors for them, but is it an economic hardship? That's for them to make that decision, not me. So just sharing my thoughts here.
Apologies. Also, if I may point of order for the commission. As the commissioners know, the purview of the commission is whatever is visible from the right of way. And as pointed out by the applicant, this was something that staff did also observe. There is a considerable distance from the right of way between the garage and, so from what someone on the street would see. Just putting that out there as well, for the commission's consideration.
So we would still need a motion in order to move forward with this, or it will, in order to act upon the application. And I do not make motions.
Oh, I'll try. So move approval with the stipulation that the top panels of the doors be square lights.
Second the motion?
Was that Commissioner Fox Brown?
Yes, second the motion, Fox Brown.
So I have a motion from Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Fox Brown, to approve the garage with the stipulation that the upper portion or the top portion of the door have square lights. Is that correct, Commissioner Souza?
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion then on the motion? Okay, seeing no further discussion on that, Mr. Kaysen, will you call a roll call vote, please? This is to approve the garage door as presented by the applicants with the stipulation that there be square windows along the top of the door.
So clarification requested from staff, is the commission authorizing staff to provide administrative approval given under the condition that what it was proposed by the applicant currently is modified to have lights on the top row of coffers? That's the right word? Or is the oh, sorry.
That would be my interpretation, although if it was staff and the chair, vice chair, collaborating on that, I would be fine with that too.
Commissioner Fox Brown?
Yes.
So if I could, can I restate this a little bit, or does Commissioner Souza have to amend his motion? Okay, let me restate it then. Have a motion by Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Fox Brown, to approve the proposed garage door with the stipulation that the upper panel of the garage door has square lights, which may be, the addition of the square lights may be approved by Mr. Kaysen or the chair and or vice chair of the commission. Mr. Souza and Ms. Fox Brown, are you all right with that?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Kaysen, are you okay with that?
Clarification requested. Is the approval staff or chair, or is it staff with chair or with vice chair? Forgive me, that's what I'm paid for.
That's okay. Let's say staff with chair or staff with vice chair.
Got it. Okay.
You don't need both of us. But you need one of us.
Okay. If I can't get one, I get the other. All right.
Right. Exactly.
Not playing favorites either. Okay. All right. Should I restate the motion, Chairwoman, and could do the roll call vote?
Would you please?
Okay. The motion is for approval of the garage doors on the condition that the top row of coffers are lighted. Once submitted, the approval will come from staff in collaboration with the chair and or vice chair of the commission. Thumbs up. Okay. Please vote yes or no. Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Commissioner Souza.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown.
Yes.
Chairwoman Wing.
Yes.
Vice Chair Flores.
Yeah.
All right, the vote is 5 yeses, 0 nos. The motion carries.
Great, thank you. And Mr. and Mrs. Kinnersley, Mr. Kaysen will be back in touch with you, and we will put our heads together to get your door approved with the lights as appropriate.
Mr.
but-
Who?
But so that means we don't have to wait for next month as a meeting, right?
That's correct.
Okay, the other thing is, I don't look at the other garage door because I like this person who came to see our garage, and he only does Emma garage door. So
Okay.
I mean, I can find something with windows on top, but the window I saw will be like not square, it's like a little bit rectangular, like the other part, you know, like the other part, the other part of the recess, the panel. So it will be sort of like that.
So I
There
think,
to
go ahead.
to adjudicate how square is square versus a rectangle that's
Yeah,
reasonable.
I know. I mean, it doesn't have to be square, right?
Well, we're trying to get to square,
They'll
so.
be reasonable, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Because,
you. Okay.
So-
Mrs.
so I
Kin-
think-
oh,
And
sorry,
the
Kat.
other thing is,
So between the two of you, as well as Mr. Kaysen and either Vice Chair Flores and myself, we'll get you to that so that you can move forward as soon as possible with getting your door on order and getting it
I think
installed.
that the garage door won't be here more than 12 weeks after you order it. So
Yep,
it would be, you know,
And I think that's why Commissioner Souza proposed it the way he did, so that you do not have to come back next week, next month.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's move on to, I think we're on to old business, is that correct? Oh, it's got this huge scrolling you gotta do to get up here. Well, I don't know why I don't have the front of the agenda. Apologies. Oh, not scrolling right. Okay, item 5.1, old business. Consideration of a certificate of appropriateness from Catherine Foley for the property at 638 Sunset Lane to construct a new 240 square foot detached garage. Mr. Kaysen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will share my screen or attempt to do so. Did everyone see the image of the home?
Yes.
Okay, great. So for this application, I'm going to, you all have a copy of the staff memo. I'm going to focus less on the staff memo and more on the addendum to the application. Just a brief review at the last meeting of the public hearing for 638 Sunset Lane. The motion was to table the application pending receiving of additional information for the application as requested by the commission. In response to that, the applicant's representative, Liz Harrow, has supplied what you see before you. I will briefly, go through this as an outline, and then obviously open it up to the applicant to speak for themselves. One of the requests, and this is one that was put out there by staff, was to have a rendering showing the view or approximate view of what the new garage will look like from the right of way. Ms. Harrow has provided that, and as you can see, based on the drawing, there is a solid, I believe I estimated 4 to 5 feet that is not visible of the garage. So quickly moving forward, in addition, one of the modifications that was made to the original application was changing the width of the panels to match the first floor of the house. Initially, the panel width was 6 inches. It was modified by applicant to a 4-inch spacing.
Do you mean the height of the panels as opposed to the width?
I apologize. The height. Yes, the height of the panels. Correct. Thank you. The height, the spacing as they referred to. So the height. Correct. In addition, a request was made for more details on cementitious siding. The applicant has modified their application and is now going with LP siding, which is an engineered wood siding. Applicant is referencing the Boral smooth finish. Apologies, don't remember the total name, but the Boral siding that was proposed for 218 Chesterfield for the trim, as that was heard on the last application, saying that it's a similar product, has proposed that. The garage door, they are offering either a lighted version, a metal door showing the square panels, or a solid version of that. What you see here are two options of lights that they were. I believe in my staff report, I said staff believes either is acceptable. Staff is recommending, by the way, the lighted version of the garage door and not the solid one. Finally, the permeable paving, the turf stone pavers are also put forward. Staff does not feel this is inappropriate, but is not furnishing an opinion one way or another. And as you can see here, ground cover is calculated based on the requirement for the district, as if the pavement that they are doing is non-permeable. So they have the option in case the permeable doesn't work out, but I will allow the applicant to speak more to that. And again, here you have the dimensions, and that is about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Given that this is old business, there is not a public hearing associated with this particular application, but knowing that both the applicant and her representative, the architect, are on the line, I would like to open up the floor to both Ms. Foley as well as Ms. Harrow, in case there are any additional comments that either one of them would like to make, or if the commissioners have any questions for them. So Ms. Spiridakos, could you please open up the line to both Ms. Foley and Ms. Harrow?
Yes, I can do that. I have allowed Catherine Foley and Liz Harrow to speak.
Thank you.
Catherine, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll just thank you all for reviewing the update for the application. And I think Raphael has done a good job describing what was in the amendment. And I guess I'm going to turn it over to Liz to finish up.
Well, and I just wanted to say that when we did this garage, Ms. Foley Catherine showed me a picture of a garage nearby that was actually even the same color as her house, and said that she wanted it to look like that. We tried to make it very minimalist. It looks like it was built in 1910, and it does not imitate the house. That was more or less deliberate. I don't mind having the mild scale of but I was trying not to imitate the roof ends. I did not want to have the slightly complicated returns that you see on that one. And sorry, I'm getting an echo. But
you may have to turn down either your phone or your computer.
Right, here you go. Yeah, I'm on two places. Yeah, hold on. All right, I'm back. So that's the main issue, is that I don't think that the garage should be an identical twin, a mini-me of the house. It's a new building. It is not a restored building, and it's trying to stay back and be less important than the house, which is a little bit elaborate with its roof and its details.
Thank you. Do any members of the commission have questions for either the applicant or the architect?
I have one question. This is Commissioner Gray. Thank you so much for all of the additional work that you put into the addendum. It was, I really liked what you're proposing, and just, I think this is going to be such a cute garage. I have one question, Ms. Harrow, for you, about the pitch of the roof pitch of the garage. I really like it. And I was just curious, you were saying that you weren't trying to match the house. The pitch looks very similar to the house, at least in your rendering. Were you trying to match the pitch?
Yes, I was trying to match the pitch. In fact, I think I see that on the notes of the drawing. I'm matching the pitch, and I am now matching the exposure to weather of the siding, but I just didn't want to match those ends. I thought that I would look like I was imitating if I did that.
I think that it looks really cute in your rendering, and it's going to be a great addition to this property. I did have a question, and I guess this is similar to the last application about the garage door, and if you looked at a garage door that maybe was a little more historic looking, again, like a wood door or a fiberglass door as opposed to the steel door. Not that I would oppose the steel door, I was just curious.
Well, I had actually in the last meeting said that we would do a wood door because I just like them better. And the contractor was the one that said that Catherine had already said that if this costs more than X thousand dollars, she'll just continue to park her car in the driveway. And this is already just a single car garage. We're only getting one car into this little bitty site, into this little bitty, and even then we're pushing all the limits on ground coverage. So the contractor was the one who explained to me that I couldn't afford the doors that I was looking at. I've never heard of fiberglass. I use fiberglass entry doors all the time, but I don't know fiberglass garage doors. I'm gonna go and look them up.
Okay, and then I just also wanted to suggest, I saw in the addendum that in reference to the cement pavers, that if they are seen to be worthy of the cost, then you would proceed with them. I wanted to suggest, I came across a product recently that were plastic pavers that are fully permeable, and it just really reads as just grass when you plant grass there. Just as a suggestion, obviously neither here nor there.
I actually have seen those too on this. They've been advertised on the side of my email for a while now, and I like those, and I was going to ask about them. I like both, and I've only used these kinds of paver, or some kind of paver, a grass through paver, once successfully and twice not successfully, where the grass doesn't really grow. So I'm interested in alternatives, right?
Right, and I know that those plastic pavers also work really well with gravel. I mean, just as an idea, if the owner has a concern about maintaining a pervious surface.
Well, because unfortunately in the city of East Lansing, this is off sides, but decks count as permeable, as impervious surface, even though the water flows through them. So she can't have a patio, she can't have a deck unless we, she can't have a deck right now unless the rules change or unless we get a variance, right?
Been there, done that.
I'm looking forward to seeing this garage catty corner from my house.
Oh, good.
And I move approval, including the permeable paving.
I have a point. Actually, I want to just ask: is that your is the lighting on your list of things you get to control, and is the paving on the list of things you get to control? I'm just curious about those two. I was a little bit surprised by those questions, and also the question about color at the last meeting. Are any of those things inside your remit?
The windows in the door and the paving is in our purview, in the sense that people change their walkway to their house, that's a part of the historic district's purview. Color is generally not.
Okay.
And the lighting is generally not either, unless you were suggesting removing original lighting and replacing it with something else. But we also serve as, just a sort of double check in terms of lighting. And I would say that I do like the first example of lighting that was suggested.
Point of order, clarification. I've just shared my screen. In the staff memo, I have made reference to several sections in an attempt to address, at least to whatever degree we can, some of the applicant's concerns. With regard to driveway and paving, I also want to clarify that really is only regard to curb cuts. If you look at what the sections that are referred to, it's essentially curb cuts. What I would point both the applicant and the commission to are sections 20-10117 and 20-10118. Specifically, where it talks about new construction in an historic district and the general guidelines. That does fall under the purview of the commission. I would say it could be debatable, does every little element, but I would argue that to whatever degree it is feasible, all these elements fall under, with the exception of color. I do specifically point to color here as not being regulated, but the commission can make recommendations, non-binding recommendations. But as a new resource, the entirety as a whole does come under the purview of the commission. That's just staff's opinion.
Okay.
Did we lose our chair?
Nope, I'm still here. Sorry.
Okay.
I had to stretch for a minute. Figured you didn't want to watch me stretch. Any other questions for either the applicant or the architect? I would agree with Commissioner Souza. I think this, and Commissioner Gray, I think this is a cute little garage. I'm sorry, Commissioner Souza, you did have a motion. Commissioner Souza moved to approve, including the pavers. Do I have a second for that?
Commissioner Gray, second.
Okay, a second from both Commissioner Fox Brown and Vice Chair Flores. We have a double second. Any additional discussion from the commissioners? Okay, Commissioner Souza, I see you starting to breathe in.
We didn't propose my motion doesn't have anything about the lights in the garage door. So what is the if the motion is not specific about that, what is the state of the application?
Well, if you're approving the entire application, that according to what the applicant has proposed, it's the boral or boral siding. The garage does have lights. Okay. That is what the applicant is asking for. The garage itself, the garage door has lights. Okay.
That's all I needed. Thanks.
Okay.
Question, clarification from staff. Is the commission requesting the lighted? Does the commission have a preference regarding the lighted or non-lighted garage door option?
I believe Commissioner Souza was suggesting that the application is approved as presented, or the amended application is approved as presented, but I'll let Commissioner Souza correct.
Yeah, my understanding was that there were windows in the garage door, which is many of the older ones in our neighborhood do have windows in the garage door. So that was my assumption. As to which of those lovely old-timey lamps they were going to use, I have no opinion.
So, Mr. Kaysen, does that answer your question?
Yes, would just request an amended motion to reflect the preference in the garage door.
Commissioner Souza?
I will so amend.
Okay. Amended for windows in the garage door, just for clarification.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fox Brown, Vice Chair Flores, since we had a double second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mr. Kaysen. Roll call vote, please.
All right. Motion for approval. One condition being the lights on the door, on the garage door. All other aspects of the addendum approved as presented. Commissioner Lake Gray, yes. Oh, sorry. Please vote yes or no. Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Commissioner Souza.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown.
Yes.
Chairwoman Wing.
Yes.
Vice Chair Flores.
Yes.
Okay, the vote is 5 yeses, 0 nos. The motion carries.
Wonderful.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. And Ms. Foley and Ms. Harris, oh, well, Ms. Foley, you'll get notification from Mr. Kaysen regarding that. And good luck. Thank you. Okay, that takes us, I believe, to everything that we had with public. Yes. Okay. Within, well, I can't bring up anything for old business here, can we? Okay. So let's move to item number 6, new business. Does anyone have anything on the new business side? Either Mr. Kaysen or the commissioners?
I think this probably counts as new business. I just wanted just to make known both to the commission and to the public that SHPO, the if I may, the State Historic Preservation Office is now accepting public comment for the new State Historic Tax Credit Program rules. I believe I forwarded the commission an email from SHPO regarding this. The comments must be received no later than 5 p.m. Friday, July 30th.
Okay, did see that. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Kaysen, can you tell me, would it have to be work done? Well, I presume it would be work done after a certain time would qualify. Do we know when that time would be?
I'm not sure if I understand your question, Commissioner.
Well, so presumably, I know that this passed and was signed, correct?
Yes. Now they're in the rulemaking,
right,
procedural making part of the process. Correct. The
so
law
I
is
was wondering if people were doing work this year, do we know that if it'll count toward the tax credit based on when it was signed into law or when the rules were put into law, and whether or not homeowners should be waiting to do their work or?
That is a very good question. I believe it is when the rules are established. However, I can double check and get back to you on that.
I would err on the side of caution, Aaron, and I would say that I don't think things are gonna be grandfathered in. I wouldn't, if you're gonna do some home repairs or rehab work and you want to make use of the 25% credit, I would wait until after first quarter 2022 when it's going to be rolled out.
And to piggyback on what Vice Chair Flores said, I do believe I was on the webinar recently. I do believe they said something to that effect, but I'm happy to follow up as well with the contact at SHPO just to double check and get back to you on that.
Would be nice if they were retroactive with all the stuff I've had going on, but guess I'm SOL on that one.
One thing I will state, though, is that they were very clear that this will apply to individual homeowners. So I do think that there will be, work moving forward for our department, historic preservation, planning and zoning, as well as possibly folks seeking guidance from the commission regarding this. So another reason why I want to make sure all y'all are in the loop on this, because individual homeowners will be able to qualify for this tax credit. They were very clear about that. So, and the rule is, my understanding is that you don't have to necessarily be, for example, have ownership of a landmark property. You just have to be what's considered a contributing resource, is the word that's used in a historic district. We're still looking on a little bit of clarification as to what contributing resource means. But my sense of things at this point is that virtually almost any property located within a historic district, almost any property would probably qualify.
Yeah.
So I will obviously keep everyone informed about that. But I want, one reason to bring it up is I do have a sense that once this is rolled out, the commission will, you know, get some questions. Both staff and the commission will get questions about it.
And I was thinking that at the point in time that it's ready to roll out, that we do need to do a specific communication to all of the property owners within the historic districts, just directly from us, so that, I mean, we may not be able to go into a lot of specifics because we don't want to be giving advice necessarily, but to be able to tell those homeowners that yes, you know, their home may qualify for tax credits.
Great.
I don't know, Vice Chair Flores, when was the last time, do you remember that that the state of Michigan actually had this?
Yeah, I was part of the task force that had this reinstated. It was, what's the right word? Dismantled, you know, dissolved in December of 2011 by Governor Snyder, and then it was signed back and reinstated by Governor Whitmer December 27th of 2020. And just for the record, contributing means if you own a home, Marcella or Diane or Lindsay or Aaron owns a home in a historic district in East Lansing, and it contributes, it's been identified as a contributing resource. It contributes to the distinct character, the overall character of the district. You can qualify for 25% of your rehab expenditures back in the form of a state tax credit. This is our teeth for our local historic districts because it gives an incentive for people to purchase homes in districts, to rehabilitate, revitalize their home in a district. And like the federal historic tax credit, it's all tailored to income producing commercial properties. So this is where the homeowners get a little bit of skin in the game.
Yeah, I think the only nit there is the fact that not all structures or not all resources within the historic districts are considered contributing. And so we would absolutely need to comb through that, through the original you know, ordinance, to make sure that we know those that are not contributing. Because
right.
To Jason's point, I think the vast majority of them are contributing, but there are some that are not.
Right.
And then boy, will those people wish they had contributing properties. Okay, thank you for that. Anything else on the SHPO and the tax credit? Okay. I'll bring up, this is not really new business, this is old business, but I'm going to say it anyhow. We had a conversation either at the beginning of this year or late last year that our November meeting in 2021 falls on Veterans Day, falls on November 11th, Veterans Day. And we spoke that we will have to move that meeting somehow. And if any of the other commissioners remember what that discussion was, or I could go back and I could try to find it in meeting minutes. I'm not sure if we were going to try to move it within that week to a different day within that week, or if we were trying to move it back to the 18th. But I bring it up here that let's propose something. Maybe we can, I don't know if we can do it separately by email or if it has to be done in public. I don't know, Mr. Kaysen, if you know that one way or the other, but I'd like to get that set sooner rather than later, so that obviously homeowners who are needing to submit an application know what date, and obviously that Mr. Kaysen and staff know what date the November meeting is going to be. Because even though it's just July, you know, like November becomes tomorrow, right?
So, Chair Wing, as if I understand, we are looking to move the November date as currently scheduled to a different date in November.
That was what was proposed, yes.
Okay, I am not familiar with what the procedure is, but I will speak to Rebecca Urdialis and also our Planning and Zoning Administrator Peter Menzer about what we would need to do, because I would imagine there would be no opposition to moving it, certainly on the part of the city.
Right. Well, and I believe the reason it was brought up is because, of course, the city offices will be closed on Veterans Day. So I think that was so that we were not bringing in yourself, Mr. Urdialis, in on a day off.
Right. Got it. Appreciated.
Okay.
So Diane, the information I have is that when you guys approved your 2021 meeting, you moved that date to November 4th, according to what Jake Parcell told me.
Okay.
And that's what has been on the all of the submission deadline papers and the application for the November meeting.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So I'm the one who's missed it. That's awesome. So it is November 4th. And I guess commissioners should mark that on their calendars as well, including me, or especially me, right? My handy dandy pencil. Boop, November 4th.
Yes. Yep, to double down on what Ms. Urdiales is saying, the October HDC meeting is October 14th, and the November HDC meeting is November 4th.
Great. Any other new business? Item 7 is commissioner reports. Any commissioner reports? Okay. Item 8, staff reports. We have 8.1, Certificate of Appropriateness Administrative Approvals from March 2020 to May 2021. Mr. Kaysen.
Yes, I just need to bring it up here. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen? The grid?
Yes.
You can, all right, you can see it? Okay. All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Yep. So at the last meeting, the chair requested a report of all administrative approvals that had been done from the date of since the ending of the last report that she had received. I believe it was from March of 2020 up through May of 2021. Even though this ends in March of 2021, we actually had no administrative approvals that we were able to find in April and May of this past year. Everything you see here is what we found either in our files in our BSNA system, which is the system that we use for basically all of our building applications. Everything here that you see is essentially, all the information we have. If in fact, I think there is a key at the bottom here, yes, where it should indicate if you see a single asterisk, basically means that no building permit was actually issued on this, meaning that the work was most likely never done. At this point, I would just kind of open it to the commission to see if you have any questions about any of these approvals.
So I was noodling around in BSNA the way I love to do, and I noticed that none of these applications are actually attached within BSNA. Is that because staff no longer has the actual application, or is the application available and it just has not been attached?
So I am glad the chair has asked that question. We have unfortunately not been able to locate many of these files. It is my understanding that my predecessor, Mr. Parcell, left a folder of administrative approvals on what was then his desk for me. At some point, my office was deep cleaned, and we surmise that at some point those were misplaced, but were placed somewhere. Hopefully not disposed of. Certainly no one in the department would have done so. We have exhaustively looked throughout the files here in the office, both in the planning and zoning division, the building department, the O drive, and we have not been able to locate these approvals. So what all I can say to the chair and the commission is we will continue looking. We hope to find it. I do apologize for that fact, but we have made an exhaustive search, about several days of complete searching, every nook and cranny we can find, and I've been unable to locate, unfortunately, the actual paper or electronic file for the approvals.
And so you don't even do you have access to Mr. Parcell's emails?
We have not gone down that road yet. It's been mentioned. I believe we were looking for guidance. You know, we were looking for guidance from the commission as to sort of what you would like to see, and if you would like us to continue finding, you know, to continue searching for the actual approvals, we may have to, you know, consider that. It would require, my understanding is, would require some, you know, some special permission within the department to kind of to go in, you know, via IT, even though it's technically all public domain. So we wanted to provide at least what we could provide, you know, within our own ability, and then, you know, talk about it.
Okay. And to clarify, the only applications that are missing are the ones that were administratively approved. Is staff missing applications that came in front of the commission as well?
No, I don't believe so. We have records of all of the, because those files are, you know, much more considerable. They're not, you know, a page here, a page there. Obviously, within our system, within the O drive, they are. I'm just going to stop the share for a second here, so I can see you all. They are, you know, files within files, and Rebecca can tell you there's a specific order for how they're organized, and it's all very much accounted for. You know, we are not entirely sure what happened, or what, if anything, happened with regard to this. We do suspect that COVID may have played a role in, you know, the lack of appearance of some of these files. I do know that Mr. Purcell was working from home, so we've considered that as a possibility. You know, we've tried to turn over every rock and stone that we can, you know, without having to go down yet the option of either, you know, calling previous staff, or going down and looking. But actually, I shouldn't say that. Darcy Schmidt, our principal planner, did speak to Mr. Purcell just casually while we were doing this, and that is when he informed Ms. Schmidt that he had in fact left this pile for me. So we will continue looking for that. But no, to answer your question, Madam Chair, the HDC approvals, I believe, are all 100% accounted for.
Okay, great. Thank you for that.
Sure.
I think it would be great if, you know, if staff could at least continue to try to look for the file, especially if it had to be a fairly large file, right? It'd be nice if that turned up.
Yeah, we will continue to do so, and I'll keep you informed as things hopefully turn up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have some questions about this, but about the list, but since I have a ton of questions, I'll defer and see if the other commissioners or if the vice chair have questions before I dig into all of mine.
I don't have any questions at this time, Diane.
Thanks, Jessica.
I don't either.
I don't.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll try and make it as brief as possible, and most of my comments are the same over and over. So just starting with the very top one, which is the work at 621 Sunset Lane. It just needs to be inspected. And I know, Mr. Casey, you and I had talked before about, with yourself and Mr. Menser coming on, if there could be a more rigorous process of inspecting the work that's been approved, both by the commission as well as administratively. And so I don't think I'm going too far out on a limb on any of these, but the fact that they were administratively approved and now we also don't have the original application sort of makes it more important in my mind that some of these be inspected to see exactly what work was done. And that it was done at least to the extent that we see here on the spreadsheet. So 621 Sunset Lane simply needs inspection to see that it was done correctly. And I have no doubt that it wasn't, given that that's Commissioner Souza's home. But commissioners are not exempt from the ordinance. 547 Charles. The shingles and the gutter are not of concern, but from what I can tell on the internet from Google Maps, the fascia was wood. And it says as the condition must use existing materials. So I believe we need an inspection just to make sure that the fascia has not been faced in aluminum.
Just point of order, Madam Chair, that is asterisked meaning that there was no building permit issued. That doesn't necessarily mean that, as you know, that the work wasn't done. So
Right.
I will follow up.
Especially on rental homes.
This is a rental property?
Yes.
Okay.
138 University Drive also needs inspection. Although, I mean, I can tell you anecdotally that I walk by there all the time. It has been done. I don't know if my confirmation is quote worthy on that, but it has been done and it's been done beautifully. So I guess I'm just trying to get us into the process of actually doing an inspection and then marking the inspection as done in BSNA. And that's not something that I can do, obviously. But go ahead.
Oh, so yeah, I agree. One thing that we're just, with everything, with Peter and I obviously being so new and
Right.
Probably ordeal here, we are looking to re-examine the PZE process for certificates of appropriateness. And it is on our list to try to make it more integral to the process. For what it's worth, I agree. We need to do something to do that. The lack of information is a little bit troubling, right? In terms of what I was able to find. So the hope is ultimately to be able to integrate that, and as we kind of establish our practices here in planning and zoning, and kind of establish a rapport with the building department, our hope is that that will become integral to that conversation, if that makes sense.
Yep, that's great.
Yeah.
That's why I was hoping you would say, yes, you had the applications for these, they just weren't on BSNA. But so obviously that puts a different light on it, that the applications themselves are just MIA.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Same thing with 240 Orchard. Restore porch to match to existing, and then the conditions were the same, match same design, materials, and size. I believe that's also a rental home. So again, that just needs to be inspected. Again, whether they pulled a permit or not doesn't matter. I know this one doesn't have an asterisk on it. 415 MAC Avenue, that's a landmark property. That's the old, I think it's the Howland House. And Mr. Parcell and I think Vice Chair Flores maybe even joined us at one point in time. I know that we visited that home twice to talk about they have a ton of work that they were doing on this home. And I would recommend that either you or Mr. Menzer visit the home, arrange a time to visit the home to find out exactly what they're doing. And you may not be familiar with the home, although maybe when you see it, you'll recognize it. It's one of the largest homes and it's very brightly painted right now. But they were redoing the stairs, the porch, the columns, the railings. And so I think it would be valuable for current staff to have a on-site visit with them to inspect and talk about their plans. And I wouldn't be that strident about it if it weren't for the fact that it's a landmark property.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm happy to catch you up on that offline if that makes sense.
Sure, that would be great. One question I have is there ongoing work being done?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, at the time that Mr. Parcell and I met out there, which was last summer, they had started something, but it was very rudimentary what they had started. And it's a huge porch. And again, so I think that just bears that you or Mr. Menzer or combination need to go out there and see exactly what they're doing and what it looks like.
Okay.
And I mean, administratively, this should be able to be approved administratively because they are repairing it and they are doing it like for like. At least that's what was committed to us verbally, and that's obviously what it says in the conditions, but it would behoove us to make sure that that's correct.
Got it. Agreed. Okay.
Item 217, Bircham Drive, install a new handrail on the east side of the porch. That needs to be inspected as well, just to ensure that they follow the handrail standards that were given to them.
Mhm.
Item 526 Evergreen Avenue, install aluminum soffit and fascia, must leave triangle supports in place. That should not have been administratively approved.
Mhm.
That work was all wood. And so I'm unclear as to why Mr. Parcell would have administratively approved this. That should have come in front of the commission.
Mhm.
So even though, again, there's been no permit pulled, it's a rental home. And so, again, you know, a pair of eyes on that would be good.
Sure.
Yeah, and I know this puts us in an odd place, right? Because that particular application should have been in front of the HGC. And I don't know our ability to like rescind something that was already approved, but then yet we can't even prove that it was approved if we don't have the files from Mr. Parcell. But we'll see what they did. I'm on the third page now. 1049 Crescentwood Road. Remove existing stairs and build new treated wood stairs. And then the condition is new stairs will match existing stairs. And probably Commissioner Fox Brown can weigh in on this because this is a property that she owns. But this particular home had concrete stairs on it. So was it replaced with concrete, Marcella?
They were wooden rotted stairs are on the side. They were completely rotted.
Oh, you're talking the side stairs, not the front porch.
No, it was completely rotted. That's why I replaced it because I don't want my sister to hurt herself.
Okay, so yeah, when I was looking at this, I was looking at the front stairs.
Replace it with wood, knowing that that's important.
Right, you were talking about the stairs on the side that are like part of the condition, correct? Okay. So maybe we can put something within the file that clarifies that these were the stairs that were on the side of Kensington Road, not on the front of Crescentwood.
Right. The front is the original one.
Right. Okay.
Also, point of order. I just wanted to make a mention, and I assumed, Commissioner Fox Brown, that you would actually put in for these C of A for due diligence sake, but based on the Google map, these stairs are not even visible from the right of way.
Right.
So technically, you didn't even have to.
No, I just did it because I'm on the. I know.
Yeah.
About
I figured that's what happened, and that's appreciated. But Chairman Wing, just in terms of jurisdictionally,
right.
This really, it's not even under the commission's
purview.
Okay,
so you were aware of this one then. Okay.
Yes, correct. And I believe no, I'm sorry, I did not put an asterisk next to this one, but yes, apologies. Yes, I am aware of this one. Correct.
Okay. The next one is right below it, 206 University Drive. Replace garage door. Windows must match what is existing. That garage door is extremely visible from the street. It's much more visible than the two doors that we approved today, the Kinnersley and the Foley doors. That's kind of a side view of it.
This one.
Yeah, I mean, what were they proposing to replace it with? Because it was an original wood door. And so once again, this should not have been administratively approved if in fact the applicant wanted to replace it with something other than wood.
Mm-hmm. I actually have an update on this, Chairman Wing. So obviously I cannot speak to what was approved or not. However, I actually have been in touch with the contractor for this home, and they never did replace the garage door. They actually are putting forward. I've been in touch with them because I was trying to figure out if their current application would need to go for commission. They are now looking to raise the garage and not replace anything original on the property. So it's my understanding.
Stop you for a second. When you say raise, R-A-Z-E or R-A-I-S-E?
No, R-A-I-S-E, apologies.
Okay.
Yes, to lift the garage.
Thank you.
And stabilize it. Yes, that's a very, very good question. And I have not to be honest, I have not been to the site yet. However, in my speaking to the contractor, they said that the garage door is original still, and they're not looking to replace it. I will verify that, but I have been in touch with them. So it's my understanding that whatever approval they did or didn't get, they never actually went forward with it.
And now at this point in time, they're not even asking to replace the garage door?
That is correct.
Okay, it would be great to get that in writing from either the applicant or the contractor.
I actually have that in an email.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I have that in an email.
That's good news, because that one like screamed out at me. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
This one should not have been administratively approved. And then the last one is 325 Linden. That one just needs to be inspected as well.
I actually have inspected this one.
Okay.
And it does look like they replaced it with cedarwood siding, and it looks beautiful. Because I looked into the history of this, and it looks like the applicants, and I should say full disclosure, my family and I own what was formerly their primary residence at 933 Abbey Road. So I know the owners indirectly, but not actually met them. But I looked through the file, and it looks like they did come before commission. I forget when, looking to replace the siding with vinyl siding. And were rejected at commission, understandably. And then it appears that they went and made it, based on what I see from BSNA, made a separate application going with the cedar. It was approved, and I went and looked, and it, to be perfectly honest, it looks like it could. I mean, it's in too good shape to be original, but it looks like it could be original, right? I mean, it is. In my estimation, it looks just like wood. If it isn't wood, it's so good that you really can't tell. And I was able to get a very close look because the right of way there goes very, very close. And I do have photos, actually.
Okay.
If the chair would like to see them, I'm happy to provide them.
That's okay. Yeah, just like I said, just trying to tie back to everything.
No, absolutely.
Especially the more recent ones, right? Like all of these that are on page 3, these are fairly recent. So if we can strike while the iron's hot on some of these,
Yeah, I should also say, just based on personal knowledge, that I surmise that my family and I purchased what was then their primary residence in mid to late December of last year. If you look at the date on this, it was January. It's my understanding that the couple was moving up to Traverse City. It's my guess that they were looking to get this done expeditiously, and obviously, and based on my observation, of the property the right way. So that to me speaks to the timing. Again, I'm surmising based on my own experience with the couple, indirectly having purchased their home, but just for what it's worth, in my investigatory capacity, it is. Apologies, almost 9:30. I'm amazed I'm this coherent. But yes, bottom line is, they did a good job.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
And thank you for your proactiveness going out and looking at some of these. Appreciate that.
For sure.
That's my only. Those are my only comments on the administrative approvals.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the commission on that? Any other staff reports, Mr. Kaysen?
Nope. That is the only one.
Awesome. Item number 9, assignments. I do not believe we have any assignments. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right. Item number 10, adjournment. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Commissioner Souza?
I'll second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Flores. All those in favor to adjourn, please say aye or yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a great rest of your July.
You too.
You too. Take
Good
care.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.